Connie.
Hey, Suzanne.
How are you today?
Doing good, doing good. Just got back from a little road trip.
Great. I'm outside trying to get the last of the sunlight. So, this is Connie and Suzanne. We're back with All Things Hallmark.
And I'm excited.
Yes, let's talk about all these great Valentine's Day movies. So, we got two movies that have come out, and they are,
Valentine in the Vineyard.
right? And then my movie that I got a chance to watch was This Is Our Story. I loved it. Okay, but your movie
Yeah.
came out first. So talk to me about your movie first.
Okay, so first of all, let me just put this disclaimer out there. I've watched it about 4 times just over this weekend. It is great. I think maybe they heard us when we said, hey, can we do some reruns on the latest and the greatest? Because this movie was absolutely awesome for me. And of course, it's a continuation. You know, we met Frankie and Nate last year in the
Right.
Vineyard. And
Yeah.
since then, they have expanded the Vineyard. Unfortunately, they kind of did it against everybody else's advice. You know, it was something they wanted to do, and they put their heart to it, and they did it. And in this particular year, this year's, I don't even know what I'm trying to say because I'm so excited about the movie. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is they got engaged.
Yay! That's always wonderful. Love is in the air.
Absolutely, absolutely. So they get engaged, and Frankie's cousin is living with them or in this same community, and she gets engaged also. So on the very day that Frankie and Nate decide to go and tell their family that Nate finally popped the question and she said yes, and that they're getting married, her cousin announces that they're getting married. And
Wow.
so yeah, so it kind of like brought a lot of surprise to their eyes. You know, it's like, this is our moment, and it kind of got snatched from them. But at any rate, they took it like troopers, and they made a decision that they were going to let the cousin have her time and have her day. And so they decided that they were going to hold back on the wedding announcement or the engagement announcement. But in the process, Suzanne, the weather is threatening to kill their vineyard because they expanded, as I told you, and um, with this bad weather coming in, they didn't have enough heaters in that to take care of the vineyard. And so, yeah, so there was a little struggle going on there. And, but what I really liked about it is that during their struggle, you know, all they kept saying is, we can do this. We just got to do what we need to do. We just need to make it happen. And so they stuck together, and that was their goal, was to take care of the vineyard. And of course, they felt like they couldn't ask anyone for help, because at the time that they expanded the vineyard, everybody thought, you know, that wasn't a good idea, but they went ahead with it. But in the process of this beautiful love story, they again make the decision not to rain on the cousins parade and to hold their secret, um, and just, you know, put their attention to making sure, one, that the cousin has a fabulous wedding, and two, that the vineyard is taken care of. In the process, however, they go through just so many different dilemmas, to the point that after a while they went to this couples event, and at the couples event they take this compatibility test, and they fail. Oh my goodness, they fail.
No
And
bueno.
oh yeah, and the funny part about it is that the cousin and the fiance fail too, but no one tells the other couple that they failed, um, for obvious reasons we already know. But when it does come out that they both failed, the cousin said that they didn't say anything because they always felt that Nate and Frankie were the perfect couple, and they just took it for granted that Nate and Frankie did awesome on the test, when in reality they didn't. But the cute thing about it is, after taking the test, and it did concern them a little bit about what the results of the test, they thought they would do something that the compatibility test suggested that they do to be more compatible. So they planned this romantic dinner. Each one of them planned a romantic dinner for the other one at their favorite spot. But
Uh-huh.
Suzanne, they ended up at two different spots. He had his romantic dinner ready for her at what he thought was the favorite spot, and she had her romantic dinner ready for him at what she felt was the favorite spot. And so, and even in the process, they were trying to communicate with each other through text messages. And for whatever reason, the text messages are not going through. But can I tell you, they didn't get mad and beside themselves. You know, there wasn't a breakup or any of that. They truly loved each other and just communicated to each other. And they kept discounting the compatibility test. You know, they kept saying that test doesn't know anything. But
That's
you know, in
right.
the back of their mind, just like the rest of us, when someone says something about our relationships, even though we may not let them know we're thinking about what they said, we're actually thinking about what they said. But long story short, because I'm not going to give it away, I told you I've already watched this movie like 3 or 4 times, and I'm suggesting that our viewers go and watch it also, because something dynamic happens when they give each other their Valentine's gifts. It really is an act of love. And the surprising thing is that they both do it. I'm not going to tell you what they did, but they both do it. And it was just really an act of love that was amazing. And it was that same act of love, Suzanne, that saved their vineyard. So awesome movie, just a lot of great life points in it. But really,
Okay, well, tell me that. Let me interrupt you and
my
tell me
biggest
what your life
takeaway,
points were.
my biggest takeaway and life point was the fact that they stayed in communication, that despite the fact that the compatibility test said they weren't good for each other, despite the fact that they made the decision to hold off on getting married, and despite the fact that the cousin was getting married when they felt like they wanted to announce it, they stayed in communication the whole time. There were no breakups. There was no, you know, I need to go home and be by myself for a little while. Or if there was none of that, they stayed connected. And I just thought that was so awesome in the where we are right now in society. You know, divorce rates are up tremendously in America. And so just to see a movie where they stick through it, they go through the hard times, and they do it lovingly and selflessly. And so I loved it.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Okay. So I didn't get a chance to see that specific because I had the family funeral, unfortunately. But I was able to see this movie, and that was This Is Our Story. And I absolutely enjoyed it. You see, Jamie is the female, and Sawyer was the gentleman. Did I say the name wrong?
Sawyer, but that's okay. We know
Sawyer
we
was
know who
the
you're talking about.
Sawyer. And so they were high school sweethearts, it sounds like. And then during college, they broke up. They thought it was mutual, but it wasn't. So they come back. It's 15 years later. And there's some animosity, some hard feelings there because their relationship did dissolve and it wasn't on the best of terms. And so they get back. Now, Sawyer has become an architect, and his value in the movie is he goes back to ask all the community, hey, sell your property so we can bulldoze all of this down and bring something brand new and beautiful. And that's when he discovers his long lost love, who has had such a fondness, such a love for the bookstore that she knew as a kid. When she got finished with college, she went back home after some time and purchased that bookstore. And this bookstore is all about romance, all about love. As a matter of fact, she is able to keep track of how many people fall in love and get married in her bookstore. And what was so cute was behind a cabinet that she hadn't even discovered was a book. And in that book, it really opened up and it was a whole bunch of cards of other couples from all way back in the 60s who had, you know, fallen in love in that same bookstore. So all of it's about romance, it's about love, and it's not foo-foo. It's so, I felt like the message was really, really good. It was a message of staying, the same message, staying through the thick of times, because the original owners, war had separated them, and yet she decided to wait. And so we see their love story, and when he comes back, they get married and they have this great bookstore. And so now Jamie is fighting not just for herself, but for her entire community to keep the original businesses open. And because he's such a great architect, he comes up with some ways to do a couple of things, but you know, we're not going to tell. Go watch the movie. My takeaway is that they were able to really value history. Sometimes, especially during this new era that we're in, people don't value their history. and the romance and what some of the obstacles look like. They were able to see other couples who had made it through the thick of times, made it through war, made it through sicknesses, and all those different things that come in years of being in a relationship. And there they were standing. And I love that. And so that message kind of reminds me of what I believe in, and that is patronize the business, know who's in your community, stay active in your community. So she wasn't just trying to save her own bookstore, she was trying to save everyone's store. And we get to hear the stories of how things began and how long it had been in their lives. And so I love that a lot. And then there was their best friends. His best friend and her best friend were secretly in love with one another, or had a spark with one another, but had never got a chance to really properly explore it. And so, Cupid hits, and there it is. And so it was a good movie. I loved it. I enjoyed that one. And I love the takeaway. Again, community, giving love a chance, because love is not always simple. It's not always easy. It's not Cinderella. It's not a fairy tale. It's going to come with some disagreements and some wars and some other things that will happen. But if you will hold on, love will keep you happy through all those rough times. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Absolutely awesome movie. Saw that one too, and it was great. I loved all those same points that you just talked about. So what I definitely want to remind our viewers to do is to subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends all about it, especially if you're a Hallmark fan like we are. Whatever word is bigger than fan and groupie and all that, that's who we are. And so that's why we enjoy coming to you every week talking about all things Hallmark. So yeah, go out there and subscribe to our channel and tell your friends all about it. And if you don't mind, post some comments. Did you like the movie? What did you like about the movie? What was your takeaway?
Right. So yes, thank you for your time. We will be here next week. And again, like, subscribe, and share. Send the video to somebody so they can see what we're doing here. We really appreciate you coming to our homes and our neighborhoods. And we just hope you have a fabulous week. Until the next time. Okay, Connie, we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. See you soon.
All right. Bye.